When Elon Musk's phone rang at 6:47 a.m. on March 15th, 2024, he was 3 hours away from one of SpaceX's most important launches. The Falcon Heavy rocket sat ready on the pad, carrying NASA's Europa mission components. 2 years of work. Millions of dollars. The whole world watching. The caller ID showed a name he hadn't seen in 15 years. Marcus Chun, his old college roommate. His former business partner. The man who had betrayed him and destroyed their friendship in 1999. "I'm dying, Elon," Marcus whispered through the phone. "Pancreatic cancer. I have 2 weeks left. But I need to tell you something about what really happened between us. About the lies I told. About Sarah." Sarah. The name hit Elon like lightning. Marcus's girlfriend from college. The woman Elon had secretly loved but never told anyone. "It's about Zip 2, Marcus continued, his voice breaking. "About why our friendship ended. I lied to you, Elon. I lied about everything." In that moment, standing in SpaceX mission control with 50 engineers watching, Elon made a decision that would shock the world. "Hold the launch," he announced. What happened next would change 3 lives forever. Because sometimes the most important missions aren't the ones that go to space. Sometimes they're the ones that bring broken families back together. And Marcus's secret? It would surprise everyone, including Elon himself. The clock on the wall showed 6:47 a.m. Elon Musk stood in the middle of SpaceX mission control, watching dozens of engineers work at their computers. The room buzzed with quiet energy. Today was the day they had all been waiting for. "Falcon Heavy looks good," called out Sarah Chun, the lead engineer. "All systems are green." Elon nodded, but his stomach felt tight with nerves. This wasn't just any launch. The massive rocket sitting on the launch pad carried special cargo for NASA. It would help scientists study Jupiter's moon Europa. 2 years of work had led to this moment. "Weather looks perfect," said another engineer. "Clear skies, light winds." Through the big windows, Elon could see the Falcon Heavy rocket in the distance. It stood 230 feet tall, gleaming white against the blue California sky. 3 rocket boosters were strapped together, making it one of the most powerful rockets in the world. "T-3 hours until launch," announced the mission director over the speakers. Elon smiled. Everything was going perfectly. The rocket was ready. The weather was good. NASA officials were arriving for the launch. News reporters from around the world were setting up their cameras. His phone buzzed in his pocket. Elon glanced at the screen and froze. The name, Marcus Chun, appeared on the caller ID. His heart started beating faster. Marcus Chun, his old college roommate from the University of Pennsylvania. They had been best friends once. They had built their first company together. But they hadn't spoken in over 15 years. Not since their terrible fight in 1999 that Elon stepped away from the busy control room. His hands shook slightly as he answered the phone. "Hello," he said quietly. "Elon." The voice was weak and rough. It sounded like Marcus, but older and tired. "I know we haven't talked in a long time." "Marcus?" Elon walked to a corner of the room, where it was quieter. "Is that really you?" "Yes, it's me." Marcus coughed. "I'm sorry to call you today. I know you have that big launch." Elon looked around the control room. Engineers were checking systems and running tests. Everyone was focused and excited. This was one of the biggest days in SpaceX history. "What do you want, Marcus?" Elon asked. His voice sounded harder than he meant it to. "I'm dying, Elon." The words hit Elon like a punch to the stomach. He sat down in a nearby chair. "What do you mean, dying?" "Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. The doctors say I have maybe 2 weeks left." Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. "I'm at St. Mary's Hospital in Tucson, Arizona. Room 314. Elon closed his eyes. Marcus had been his best friend in college. They had shared a tiny apartment. They had eaten cheap pizza for dinner every night. They had dreamed of starting a company that would change the world. "I'm sorry to hear that," Elon said. He meant it, even after all these years of anger. "I need to see you, Elon. There's something I have to tell you before I die. Something about what really happened between us." "Marcus, I can't just..." "It's about Zip 2, Marcus interrupted. "About the code. About why our friendship ended. I lied. To you, Elon. I lied about everything." Elon's blood went cold. Zip 2 was the first company they had built together in the 1990s. It was a website that helped people find local businesses. They had sold it to Compaq for over $300 million, but the sale had destroyed their friendship. Marcus had accused Elon of stealing his computer code. Lawyers had gotten involved. Money had been fought over. Terrible things had been said. "What do you mean you lied?" Elon asked. "I can't tell you over the phone. It's too important. Please, Elon. I know today is huge for SpaceX. I know this launch means everything to you, but I'm running out of time." Marcus started coughing again. The sound was wet and painful. "Where did you say you were?" Elon asked quietly. "St. Mary's Hospital in Tucson. Room 314. I understand if you can't come. I know I don't deserve your help after what I did." Elon looked at the countdown clock on the wall. 2 hours and 58 minutes until launch. NASA was counting on them. His employees had worked night and day to make this happen. The whole world was watching. "Marcus," Elon said, "what you did to me. It almost destroyed my career. I trusted you, and you betrayed me. I know. That's why I need to tell you the truth. About what really happened. About Sarah." Sarah. Elon's heart stopped. Sarah Martinez had been Marcus's girlfriend in college. She had long black hair and bright eyes. She was smart and funny and kind. And Elon had been secretly in love with her for 2 years. He had never told anyone about his feelings for Sarah, not even Marcus. "What about Sarah?" Elon whispered. "I can't say more on the phone. Please, Elon, come to Tucson. Let me tell you everything before it's too late." The line went quiet except for the sound of Marcus breathing. It was slow and labored, like each breath was hard work. Elon looked around Mission Control. Engineers were still working at their computers. The countdown clock kept ticking. In less than 3 hours, the Falcon Heavy would blast off into space. This was one of the most important days in SpaceX history. Maybe the most important day, but Marcus was dying. And he had secrets about Sarah. "Elon." Marcus's voice was getting weaker. "Are you still there?" Elon stood up slowly. He walked to the center of Mission Control, where all his engineers could see him. "Hold the launch," he announced. The room went silent. Every person stopped what they were doing and stared at him. "Sir?" asked Sarah Chun, the lead engineer. "Did you say hold the launch?" "Yes. We're postponing until further notice." "But sir, the weather window. I said hold the launch." Elon's voice was firm. "I have a family emergency." The engineers looked at each other with confusion and worry. Some of them had worked on this project for years. NASA officials were already on their way to watch the launch. Gwynne Shotwell, the president of SpaceX, rushed over to Elon. "What's happening?" she asked quietly. "We can't just stop a launch 3 hours before takeoff." "Yes, we can," Elon said. "And we are." He put the phone back to his ear. "Marcus? I'm coming to see you." "You are?" Marcus sounded surprised. "I'll be there in a few hours. Don't you dare die before I get there." "Thank you, Elon. Thank you so much." Elon hung up the phone and looked around Mission Control. 50 engineers stared back at him with shocked faces. "Get my plane ready," he told his assistant. "I'm going to Arizona." Now, as Elon walked toward the exit, questions raced through his mind. What had Marcus lied about? What did this have to do with Sarah? And why was he risking everything to visit a man who had betrayed him 15 years ago? The countdown clock on the wall kept ticking, but the numbers no longer mattered. For the first time in SpaceX history, Elon Musk had chosen something more important than a rocket launched. He just hoped he would find out what that something was before it was too late. Elon's private jet lifted off from Los Angeles at 8:30 a.m. The white plane climbed high above the clouds, heading east toward Arizona. Through the small window, Elon watched California disappear below him. His phone had not stopped ringing since he left SpaceX. 47 missed calls, text messages from NASA officials, emails from reporters asking why the launch was delayed. The SpaceX stock price had already dropped 3%, but Elon ignored it all. He stared out the window at the desert below and let his mind drift back 25 years, back to when he was just a college student with big dreams and no money. 1994, University of Pennsylvania. The apartment was tiny. Just 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a kitchen the size of a closet. Elon shared it with his roommate, Marcus Chun, near the campus in Philadelphia. Elon was 23 years old, studying physics and economics. He spent his days in class and his nights reading books about space travel and electric cars. His professors thought he was strange because he asked too many questions. Marcus was different. He was quiet and shy, with thick black glasses and hair that always looked messy. But when it came to computers, Marcus was a genius. He could write code faster than anyone Elon had ever met. While other students went to parties, Elon and Marcus stayed in their apartment. They would eat cheap pizza and talk about starting a company together. Elon had the big ideas. Marcus had the skills to make them real. What if we could put all the world's information on the internet? Elon would say, pacing around their small living room. That's impossible, Marcus would reply, typing on his old computer. There's too much information. Not all of it. Just the important stuff, like where to find a good restaurant or a gas station. Marcus would stop typing and look at Elon with interest. You mean like a digital phone book? Better than a phone book, with maps and directions and reviews. They would stay up until 3 in the morning, sketching ideas on pieces of paper. Elon drew pictures of websites and business plans. Marcus wrote code that could make the ideas work. 1995, the beginning of Zip2. By their senior year, they had a real plan. They would create a website that helped people find local businesses. Newspapers could use it to help their readers find restaurants, shops, and services in their city. They called it Zip2. Marcus wrote most of the original code in their apartment bedroom. He worked 18 hours a day, surviving on coffee and determination. The code was elegant and fast, much better than anything their competitors had built. Elon handled the business side. He called newspaper editors and tried to convince them to use Zip2. He created presentations and talked to investors. He was good with people in a way that Marcus was not. They made a great team. Marcus was the brilliant programmer who could solve any technical problem. Elon was the salesman who could convince anyone to believe in their vision. They moved their company to a small office in Palo Alto, California. They slept on the floor and showered at the local gym. They ate cold pizza for breakfast and worked 7 days a week, but they were happy. They were building something important together. They were going to change the world. The present, 35,000 feet above Arizona, the airplane hit turbulence, shaking Elon back to the present. He looked out the window and saw the red rocks of Arizona below. They would be landing in Tucson soon. His phone rang again. It was Gwynne Shotwell, the president of SpaceX. Elon, we need to talk, she said when he answered. NASA is asking questions about the launch delay. The media is going crazy with theories. What kind of theories? Elon asked. Some think SpaceX is having technical problems. Others are saying you're having a nervous breakdown. The stock price keeps falling. Elon rubbed his forehead. He had built SpaceX from nothing into one of the most successful rocket companies in the world. But one canceled launch was making people doubt everything. What should I tell NASA? Gwynne asked. Tell them it's a family emergency. We'll reschedule as soon as possible. Is it really a family emergency? I thought your family was all accounted for. Elon paused. How could he explain that he was flying to see a man who had betrayed him 15 years ago? A man who might have secrets about the most painful period of his life. It's complicated, Gwynne. Just trust me on this one. The launch window closes at 4 p.m. today. If we don't go, we have to wait 6 months for the next opportunity. 6 months. Elon knew what that meant. Delays cost millions of dollars. They disappointed customers. They gave competitors time to catch up, but Marcus was dying. And he had something important to say about Sarah. We'll wait 6 months if we have to, Elon said. Gwynne was quiet for a moment. This must be really important. It is. After he hung up, Elon thought about Sarah Martinez again. She had been the most beautiful girl at the University of Pennsylvania. Not just because of her long black hair or bright smile, but because of the way she cared about people. Sarah wanted to be a teacher. She tutored kids from poor families for free. She volunteered at homeless shelters on weekends. She made everyone around her want to be a better person. Elon had been in love with her from the first day they met. But she was Marcus's girlfriend, so Elon never said anything. He just watched from a distance and tried to be a good friend too. Both of them. After the Zip2 sale in 1999, Sarah had disappeared from their lives. Elon never found out why. Marcus wouldn't talk about her. It was like she had never existed. But now Marcus was dying, and he wanted to talk about Sarah. What had happened to her? Where had she gone? Why was she connected to the lies Marcus had told? The pilot's voice came over the intercom. Mr. Musk, we're beginning our descent into Tucson. We should be on the ground in 15 minutes. Elon looked out the window at the desert city below. Somewhere down there, Marcus was lying in a hospital bed, waiting to tell him secrets that had been buried for 25 years. Elon's stomach felt tight with nerves. He had faced down NASA officials, angry investors, and skeptical engineers. He had built rockets that could land themselves and cars that could drive themselves. But he had never been more nervous than he was right now. What if Marcus's secrets changed everything Elon thought he knew about his past? What if the truth was worse than the lies? The plane touched down on the runway with a gentle bump. Elon gathered his things and prepared to face whatever Marcus had to tell him. He just hoped he was ready for the truth. St. Mary's hospital smelled like cleaning supplies and sadness. Elon walked down the long hallway, his footsteps echoing off the shiny floors. The walls were painted a pale green color that was supposed to be calming, but just made everything look sick. He passed room after room. Through open doors, he could see families sitting quietly beside hospital beds. Some people were crying. Others were holding hands and whispering prayers. Room 310. Room 312. Room 314. Elon stopped outside the door. His hand rested on the metal handle, but he couldn't make himself turn it. Through the small window, he could see a thin figure lying in the bed. It was Marcus. But he looked nothing like the person Elon remembered. Marcus Chun had been 180 pounds of nervous energy in college. He was always moving, always typing, always thinking of new ideas. Even when he sat still, his fingers would tap against his leg like he was writing invisible code. The man in the hospital bed weighed maybe 120 pounds. His thick black hair was completely gone. His skin looked yellow and waxy. Tubes ran from his nose and arms to machines that beeped softly, but his eyes were the same, sharp and intelligent, even in his sick body. Elon took a deep breath and opened the door. "You came," Marcus whispered. A tear rolled down his thin cheek. "Of course I came." Elon sat down in the plastic chair beside the bed. "Though my board of directors might fire me for this." Marcus tried to laugh, but it turned into a coughing fit. The sound was wet and painful. A nurse in blue scrubs hurried into the room to check his breathing. "I'm Linda," she said to Elon with a kind smile. "I've been taking care of Marcus for 2 weeks. Are you family?" Elon looked at Marcus, then back at the nurse. "We're old friends." Linda adjusted Marcus's foretube with gentle hands. She treated him like he was made of glass and might break at any moment. "Dr. Rodriguez will want to talk to you," Linda said. "Marcus doesn't have many visitors. It's good that you're here." After she left, Elon studied his old friend's face. 25 years had passed since their terrible fight. Marcus looked so small and fragile now. It was hard to believe this was the same person who had accused Elon of being a thief. "Dr. Rodriguez says you have 2 weeks," Elon said quietly. "Maybe less." Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. "The cancer has spread to my liver and lungs. It's in my bones now too." Marcus reached toward his bedside table with a shaking hand. Elon helped him open the small drawer. Inside was an old notebook with a worn cover. Coffee stains and pin marks covered the front. In faded blue ink, someone had written "Zip2, original code." "This is what I need to tell you about," Marcus said, holding the notebook like it was made of gold. "The real reason our friendship ended." Elon stared at the notebook. He remembered it from their college days. Marcus had carried it everywhere, writing down ideas and code snippets. It had been like his diary, full of their dreams and plans. "The real reason wasn't about the money or the credit," Marcus continued. "It was about Sarah." Elon's heart stopped beating for a moment. "What about Sarah?" Marcus closed his eyes, like the memory was too painful to look at. "She knew how you felt about her, Elon. She told me the night before our big fight." The machines in the room seemed to get louder. "Beep, beep, beep." "That's impossible," Elon said. "I never told anyone about my feelings for Sarah. Not even you. You didn't have to tell anyone. It was obvious. The way you looked at her when she walked into a room. The way you always found excuses to sit next to her at dinner. The way you got quiet whenever she talked about other guys." Elon felt like the room was spinning. For 2 years in college, he had thought his secret was safe. He had been so careful never to let his feelings show. Sarah wasn't stupid, Elon. She noticed everything. And the night before Compaq made their offer to buy Zip2, she came to see me. Marcus opened his eyes and looked directly at Elon. "She said she had feelings for you too. She said she had always wondered what would happen if she wasn't with me." The heart monitor started beeping faster as Marcus got more emotional. "I was so angry and jealous. I couldn't think straight. My girlfriend was in love with my best friend, and I was about to lose everything that mattered to me. Elon gripped the arms of his chair. So you lied to the lawyers. I told them you had stolen my code. I made up evidence that made you look like a thief. I said you couldn't be trusted with technical decisions. Marcus started coughing again, harder this time. Linda rushed back into the room with a cup of water and some medicine. Maybe we should take a break, she suggested, looking worried. No, Marcus said firmly. I need to finish this story. I've been carrying these secrets for 25 years. I won't die with them. Linda checked his breathing and left reluctantly. The lawyers believed me because I was the lead programmer, Marcus continued. They thought I knew more about the technical side than you did. They reduced your payout by $50 million and gave you a smaller role in the merged company. Elon remembered those dark months in 1999. After the compact deal, he had felt like a fraud. He wondered if maybe he really wasn't smart enough to be a tech entrepreneur. The doubt had almost made him quit business and become a physics professor instead. You made me think I was worthless, Elon said quietly. I know. I'm sorry. I was 24 years old and scared and stupid. But that's not the worst part of the story. Marcus reached for Elon's hand with his thin fingers. After the sale, Sarah came to see me one more time. She was crying. She said she was leaving California and never coming back. What? Marcus took a shaky breath. Because she was pregnant, Elon. With your baby. The room went completely silent except for the steady beeping of machines. Elon couldn't breathe. He couldn't think. The words didn't make sense. What? He whispered. She was pregnant with your daughter. But because of our fight, because of all the anger and accusations, she thought you hated both of us. So she moved away and never told you. Elon stood up so fast that his chair fell over. That's impossible. Sarah and I never. We were just friends. Do you remember the night we celebrated getting our first big contract? The three of us went to that bar near campus. You and Sarah talked for hours while I was in the bathroom being sick from too much beer. Elon did remember that night. It was one of the happiest nights of his life. Sarah had looked beautiful in her blue dress. They had talked about dreams and the future. And later, when Marcus was asleep, she never told me. Elon said, his voice breaking. She moved to Portland, Oregon. She raised your daughter alone. Her name is Emma. Marcus fumbled with his phone and showed Elon a picture. A young woman with long dark hair and bright eyes stood in what looked like a science laboratory. She was holding an award and smiling at the camera. She looked exactly like Elon's mother when she was young. Emma is 24 years old now, Marcus said. She's a biomedical engineer at Oregon Health and Science University. She's brilliant, just like you. And she has no idea who her real father is. Elon stared at the photo, his hands shaking. He had 6 children with 3 different women, but he had never known about Emma. 24 years of missed birthdays and school plays and bedtime stories. Where's Sarah now? He asked that Marcus's face crumpled with grief. She died in a car accident 3 years ago. Emma was the only family I had left, so I became like an uncle to her. But she doesn't know about you, and she doesn't know I'm dying. Elon sat back down heavily. His daughter was out there somewhere, not knowing that. Her father was one of the most famous people in the world, not knowing that she had brothers and sisters, not knowing anything about where she came from. Why are you telling me this now? Elon asked. Marcus gripped the old notebook tighter. Because Emma is trying to cure cancer. Her research is brilliant, but she needs funding. The university is cutting her program next month. She's going to lose everything she's worked for. Marcus looked directly into Elon's eyes. I destroyed our friendship with lies and jealousy. I kept you from knowing your daughter for 24 years. Let me do one thing right before I die. Help her save other people like me. The notebook fell from Marcus's weak hands onto the hospital bed. All those years of secrets and lies written down in faded ink. Elon picked up the notebook and held it carefully. Inside were the original plans for Zip 2, the code that had made them both rich. The dreams they had shared as young men who thought they could change the world. But more than that, it was the story of how jealousy and fear had destroyed the best friendship either of them had ever had. And now Elon had a daughter he had never met, who was trying to save the life of the man who had kept them apart. Elon felt like the world was spinning around him. He gripped the sides of his chair and tried to make sense of what Marcus had just told him. The compact deal in 1999 had changed everything. Zip 2 sold for $307 million, making Elon his first real fortune. but it had also destroyed his friendship with Marcus and ended any chance he might have had with Sarah. The lawyers believed me because I was the best programmer on the team, Marcus said weakly. They thought I knew more about the technical work than you did. Elon remembered those terrible months after the sale. The lawyers had questioned everything he had done. They made him feel like he didn't deserve credit for building the company. They cut his money and gave him a smaller job in the new merged company. I felt like a fraud, Elon said quietly. I thought maybe everyone was right. Maybe I wasn't smart enough to be in the tech business. You were brilliant, Elon. You always were. I just made everyone think otherwise because I was jealous. Marcus started coughing again. Linda, the nurse, came back to check on him. She looked worried about how pale he was getting. The doubt almost made me quit, Elon continued. I thought about going back to school to study physics. I wondered if I should just become a college professor instead of trying to start more companies. But you didn't quit. You started X.com, which became PayPal, then SpaceX and Tesla. You proved everyone wrong. Elon looked at the photo of Emma on Marcus's phone again. She had Sarah's warm smile, but his own serious eyes. In the picture, she wore a white lab coat and safety glasses. She looked confident and smart. Tell me about her, Elon said. Tell me about Emma. Marcus's face softened. Even though he was dying, talking about Emma made him look happy. She's amazing, Elon. She got straight A's in high school and college. She graduated from Portland State University when she was 21. Then she got her master's degree in biomedical engineering from Oregon Health and Science University. What's she like as a person? Stubborn, just like you were in college. When she decides to do something, nothing can stop her. But she's also kind, like Sarah was. She volunteers at the Children's Hospital on weekends. She helps kids who are scared about getting medical treatments. Marcus showed Elon more photos on his phone. Emma at her college graduation, wearing a cap and gown and holding her diploma. Emma at a science fair in high school, standing next to a project about cancer cells. Emma volunteering at a soup kitchen, serving food to homeless people. She follows your work, Marcus said with a weak smile. Emma thinks you're a hero for trying to make humans live on other planets. She has SpaceX posters in her apartment. She watches every rocket launch online. Elon stared at a photo of Emma wearing a SpaceX t-shirt while working in her laboratory. His daughter was a fan of his work and didn't even know they were related. She has no idea I exist, Elon said. Sarah made me promise never to tell her. She said it would be too confusing and painful. She wanted Emma to have a normal life without all the attention that comes with being your daughter. Dr. Rodriguez walked into the room. She was a woman in her 50s with graying hair and kind eyes. She spoke with a gentle accent that sounded Mexican. Mr. Chun, how are you feeling? She asked, checking the machines beside his bed. I'm okay, Dr. Rodriguez. This is my friend Elon Musk, the one I told you about. Dr. Rodriguez looked surprised. The SpaceX CEO? What brings you here? Marcus and I are old friends. Elon said simply, Doctor. Rodriguez checked Marcus's chart and frowned. Mr. Chun, your vital signs are getting worse faster than we expected. Your blood pressure is dropping, and your oxygen levels are low. I think you should call your family members to come visit. I don't have any family, Marcus said quietly. Just Emma, but she doesn't know how sick I really am. Maybe it's time to tell her the truth, Dr. Rodriguez suggested gently. After the doctor left, Marcus turned back to Elon. I need you to promise me something. Don't tell Emma who you are until after I'm gone. She has a big presentation tomorrow to save her research program. She needs to focus on that, not on family drama. Elon's phone started buzzing with text messages. He ignored them, but Marcus noticed. That's about your rocket launch, isn't it? Marcus asked. Probably, but it doesn't matter right now. It does matter. This launch is important for SpaceX and NASA. You shouldn't have canceled it because of me. Elon looked at his old friend lying in the hospital bed. Marcus had betrayed him 25 years ago, but he was also the father figure to Elon's daughter. The situation was complicated in ways that hurt Elon's brain to think about. Marcus, what you did to me almost destroyed my confidence. But Emma doesn't know any of that. To her, you're just the uncle who raised her and loved her. I did love her. I still do. She's the best thing that ever happened to me, even though I didn't deserve to be part of her life. Elon's phone rang. It was Gwynn Shotwell from SpaceX. Again, I have to take this, Elon said, stepping into the hallway. Elon, we have a serious problem, Gwynn said. The media is going crazy with theories about why you canceled the launch. Some reporters are saying SpaceX is having technical failures. Others think you're having personal problems. The stock price has dropped 8%. What should I tell them? The truth would be nice. What's really going on? Elon looked through the window at Marcus lying in his hospital bed. How could he explain that he was visiting a man who had lied about him for 25 years? How could he tell anyone that he had just learned about a daughter he never knew existed? I can't explain right now, Gwen. Just trust me. This is something I have to do. The launch window closes at 4 p.m. today. After that, we have to wait 6 months for the next opportunity. 6 months, Elon. Do you understand what that means for our contracts and our reputation? Elon understood perfectly. Delaying the launch would cost millions of dollars. It would make NASA and other customers question SpaceX's reliability. It would give competitors time to catch up, but Marcus was dying and Emma was about to lose her research funding. Some things were more important than rocket launches. We'll wait 6 months if we have to, Elon said. This must be incredibly important. It is. After he hung up, Elon went back into Marcus's room. His old friend was sleeping, but his breathing was shallow and difficult on the bedside table. The old Zip-2 notebook lay open. Elon could see pages of code written in Marcus's neat handwriting. Ideas they had dreamed up together as young men who thought they could change the world. But there was something else in the notebook. Stuck between the pages was a photograph. Elon pulled it out carefully. It was a picture of Sarah, Marcus, and Elon from their college days. They were sitting in their tiny apartment, eating pizza and laughing about something. Sarah sat between the two men, her arms around both of them. They looked so young and happy. They had no idea that jealousy and lies would destroy everything they had built together. Elon studied Sarah's face in the photo. She was beautiful, but more than that, she looked genuinely happy. Her smile was real, not posed for the camera. This was the woman who had carried his child and raised his daughter alone. This was the woman who had died 3 years ago without ever telling him the truth. Marcus opened his eyes and saw Elon holding the photograph. I found that picture last month when I was cleaning out my apartment, Marcus said weakly. After the doctors told me I was dying, I wanted to look at happy memories. We were good friends once, Elon said. We were the best friends. We trusted each other completely. That's why my betrayal hurt so much. Marcus struggled to sit up in bed. Elon, I need you to promise me something else. After I'm gone, don't tell Emma everything at once. She's going to be grieving and confused. Give her time to process that I'm dead before you tell her about being her father. What if she doesn't want to meet me? What if she's angry that I wasn't there when she was growing up? She won't be angry. Emma understands that sometimes good people are kept apart by circumstances beyond their control. But she will want to know you. She's always wondered about her father. Marcus reached for Elon's hand with his thin fingers. I destroyed our friendship with lies and jealousy. I kept you from knowing your daughter for 24 years. Let me do one thing right before I die. Let me help you save her research program. Elon looked at the photo of the 3 young friends again. Then he looked at Marcus, dying in his hospital bed. Finally, he looked at the picture of Emma on the phone, his brilliant daughter who was trying to cure the disease that was killing her uncle. What exactly does Emma need? Elon asked. Funding, equipment, time. The university is cutting her program because they think cancer research is too expensive and too risky. How much money are we talking about? A few $1,000,000 to keep her program running for 2 years. That's nothing to you, but it's everything to her. Elon thought about the SpaceX launch that was supposed to happen today. It had cost over $100 million to prepare. The rocket was sitting on the launch pad, ready to blast off into space. But his daughter was trying to save lives right here on Earth. Maybe it was time to invest in a different kind of future. I want to meet her, Elon said. Before you die, I want to meet Emma. Marcus started crying. Really? Really? We're going to tell her the truth together. About Sarah, about me, about everything. What about your rocket launch? Some things are more important than rockets. The next morning, Imogen walked through the hospital parking lot carrying a bag of donuts and 2 cups of coffee. She had bought Marcus's favorite kind, chocolate glazed from the bakery near her apartment in Portland. She was tired from the 3-hour drive to Tucson, but she wanted to visit her uncle before her big presentation. Emma had no idea how sick Marcus really was. He had told her he was getting treatment for stomach problems, not dying of cancer. Room 314 was quiet when she opened the door. Marcus was sleeping, and there was a tall man with gray hair sitting in the chair beside his bed. "Uncle Marcus," Emma said softly. "Who is this?" The tall man stood up quickly. Emma noticed he looked nervous and excited at the same time. His hands were shaking slightly. "Emma," Marcus said, opening his eyes. "I'm so glad you're here. This is my friend Elon Musk." Emma nearly dropped the coffee cups. "Elon Musk? The SpaceX CEO? What are you doing here?" She looked back and forth between Marcus and the most famous entrepreneur in the world. "Uncle Marcus, did you call him about my research? I told you not to bother famous people with my problems." "It's not a favor," Elon said quietly. "Emma, please sit down. We need to tell you something important." Emma set down the coffee and donuts on the small table. She sat in the other plastic chair, feeling confused and a little scared. Why would Elon Musk be in her uncle's hospital room? "Do you remember the story I always told you about your father?" Marcus asked gently. "Of course. You said he died in a car accident when I was a baby. Mom always said he was a good man who would have loved me very much." Emma had grown up with that story. It was sad but simple. Her father had been a college student who died young. Her mother had raised her alone, until Marcus stepped in to help. "That story was partly true," Marcus said. "Your father was a good man, and he would have loved you. But he didn't die in a car accident." Emma stared at Marcus, then at Elon, then back at Marcus. "What do you mean? Your father is sitting right here," Marcus said, pointing to Elon. The words didn't make sense. Emma stood up so fast that her chair fell backward. "That's impossible," she said. "My father was a college student, not a billionaire. This has to be some kind of joke." "It's not a joke," Elon said softly. "Your mother Sarah and I knew each other in college. We were close friends. But Marcus and I had a big fight, and Sarah moved away before she could tell me about you." Emma started pacing around the small room. Her mind was racing. "You're telling me that Elon Musk is my biological father? The person I've admired my entire career? This is insane." "I know it sounds crazy," Marcus said, tears streaming down his face. "I kept this secret for 24 years because I was angry and jealous. I robbed you of knowing your real father, and I robbed him of knowing you." Emma stopped pacing and looked at both men. "But you raised me, Uncle Marcus. You taught me to ride a bike. You helped me with my homework. You came to every science fair and graduation. You're my father in every way that matters. And I always will be," Marcus said. "But Elon deserves to know the amazing woman you've become. And right now, you need his help." Emma crossed her arms and glared at Elon. "Is this about my research? Funding? Did Uncle Marcus tell you to invest in my program as some kind of charity?" "No," Elon said firmly. "Well, yes, he told me about your work. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I just learned I have a daughter who's trying to cure cancer, and I want to know everything about her." Emma sat back down heavily. The hospital room felt too small and too hot. Everything she thought she knew about her life had just been turned upside down. "I can't process this right now," she said. "I have to present to the university board in 3 hours. My entire career depends on saving my research program." "Then let's focus on that," Elon said, pulling his chair closer to hers. "Tell me about your research." Emma looked at him suspiciously. "Why do you care?" "Because you're my daughter, and because what you're doing might save Marcus's life." For the next hour, Emma explained her work. She showed Elon papers and charts on her laptop. She talked about training the body's immune system to fight cancer cells more effectively. "Current treatments only work for 5% of pancreatic cancer patients," Emma said. "But my research shows we can get that number up to 73%. Elon listened carefully to every word. His daughter was brilliant, even more brilliant than he had hoped. She understood complex science and explained it in ways that made sense. "The problem is funding," Emma continued. "The university thinks cancer research is too expensive and too risky. They're cutting my program next month." "What would you need to continue your work?" Elon asked. "Equipment, staff, time. Maybe $2 million to keep going for 2 years. But the university board has already made up their minds." "What if money wasn't a problem?" Emma laughed bitterly. "Money is always a problem in medical research. That's why so many good projects get canceled before they can help people." Elon pulled out his phone and showed Emma a news article. The headline read, "SpaceX delays major launch, CEO missing in action. I canceled a $100 million rocket launch to come here, Elon said. If I can do that, I think I can find $2 million for cancer research. Emma stared at the article. You canceled a rocket launch? For Uncle Marcus. For both of you. Marcus had been listening quietly from his hospital bed. Now he spoke, up in his weak voice. Emma, there's something else you need to know. I'm not just sick. I'm dying. The doctors say I have maybe a week left. Emma's face went white. What? No, you said it was just stomach problems. You said the treatment was working. I lied because I didn't want you to worry about me during your presentation. But Elon's here now, and he can help you in ways I never could. Emma started crying. She rushed to Marcus's bedside and took his thin hand in hers. You can't die, Uncle Marcus. I won't let you. That's why I'm working so hard on this research. I'm going to find a cure, and I'm going to save you. Maybe you will, Marcus said gently. But even if you can't save me, you'll save thousands of other people. That's what matters. Elon watched his daughter cry over the man who had raised her. Marcus had lied and betrayed Elon 25 years ago, but he had also loved Emma and given her a good life. Some situations were too complicated for simple anger or forgiveness. Emma, Elon said quietly, what time is your presentation? 2 o'clock, she said without looking up from Marcus. We're going to Portland. All three of us. Dr. Rodriguez appeared in the doorway. I'm sorry, but Mr. Chun is much too sick to travel anywhere. I'll bring a medical team, Elon said. A private plane with full life support equipment. Doctor standing by. If there are any problems, we can have him back here within hours. Marcus smiled weakly. I'd like that. I want to see Emma give her presentation. I want to be there when she saves her research program. Uncle Marcus, you're too sick, Emma protested. I'm dying anyway, Marcus said. I'd rather die watching you succeed than die lying in this hospital bed. Elon stood up and made a phone call. Within minutes, he had arranged for a medical transport plane, a team of doctors, and ground transportation in Portland. We leave in 1 hour, he announced. Emma looked overwhelmed. This is all happening too fast. Yesterday, I thought I was losing my research funding and my uncle was getting better. Now I find out Uncle Marcus is dying, Elon Musk is my father, and we're flying to Portland on a private jet. Life has a way of changing quickly, Elon said. The question is, are you ready to fight for your research? Emma wiped her tears and looked at Marcus, then at Elon. I've been ready my whole life. Then let's go save some lives, Elon said yes. The medical team prepared Marcus for transport. Elon thought about the rocket launch that was supposed to happen today. By now, the media was probably speculating about SpaceX's future. The stock price was probably falling even more, but none of that mattered compared to what was happening in this hospital room. He had found a daughter he never knew existed. She was trying to save the life of the man who had both betrayed him and raised his child. Sometimes the most important missions weren't the ones that went to space. Sometimes they were the ones that brought broken families back together. The medical plane landed at Portland International Airport at 11:30 a.m. Emma sat beside Marcus's stretcher, holding his hand as the medical team checked his vital signs. His breathing was getting weaker, but he was still awake and alert. We're home, Uncle Marcus, Emma said softly. Through the small airplane window, Marcus could see the mountains around Portland covered in green trees. It's beautiful, he whispered. I forgot how beautiful Oregon is. Elon watched from across the narrow aisle. The medical team had done everything possible to make Marcus comfortable during the flight. But even with oxygen tanks and 4 drips, it was clear that Marcus was getting sicker. Dr. Martinez, the flight doctor, pulled Elon aside as they prepared to leave the plane. Mr. Musk, I need to be honest with you. Mr. Chin's condition is very unstable. The stress of traveling has made him weaker. I don't think he should be out of a hospital for more than a few hours. How long does he have? Elon asked quietly. Maybe days, maybe hours. It's hard to say with pancreatic cancer. Elon looked at Marcus and Emma. His old friend was dying, but he was smiling as Emma described her favorite coffee shop near the university. Marcus wanted to spend his last days helping Emma save her research program. We'll keep the medical team with us, Elon decided. If he gets worse, we'll take him straight to the hospital. Oregon Health and Science University sat on a hill overlooking the Willamette River. The campus was filled with modern buildings made of glass and steel. Students walked between classes, carrying backpacks and coffee cups. Emma led them to the biomedical research building. Marcus rode in a wheelchair with portable oxygen tanks and a nurse named Jennifer pushing him. "This is where I work," Emma said, showing them her laboratory on the third floor. The lab was filled with expensive equipment. Microscopes, computers, and machines that Elon didn't recognize lined the walls. Emma's desk was covered with research papers and charts showing cancer cell data. "This is impressive," Elon said, looking around the room. "You build all of this yourself?" "With help from my team," Emma said. "We have 5 graduate students and 2 postdoctoral researchers. Or we did, until the university said they were cutting our funding." Marcus was breathing heavily from the trip upstairs, but he looked around the lab with pride. "Show him the results from your latest experiment," he said weakly. Emma pulled up data on her computer screen. The charts showed cancer cells being destroyed by the patient's own immune system. "We tested this on mice with pancreatic cancer," Emma explained. 73% of them went into complete remission. That's better than any existing treatment. Elon studied the data carefully. He wasn't a medical expert, but he understood research and scientific method from his work with rockets and cars. "This is remarkable," he said. "Why isn't the university supporting this?" "Because medical research is expensive and risky," Emma said bitterly. "They would rather spend money on things that guarantee profits, like developing new medical devices." Jennifer, the nurse, checked Marcus's pulse and looked worried. "His heart rate is getting irregular," she said quietly to Dr. Martinez. Marcus heard her and grabbed Emma's hand. "What time is your presentation?" 2 o'clock. "In about 30 minutes. "I want to be there," Marcus said firmly. "I want to watch you fight for your research." "Uncle Marcus, you're too sick. We should take you to the hospital." "No, I've been waiting my whole life to see you do something this important. I'm not missing it now." Oregon Health and Science University's main conference room overlooked the city of Portland. Through the big windows, Emma could see the river and the mountains in the distance. It was a beautiful day, but she felt sick with nervousness. 12 people sat around a long wooden table. They were professors, administrators, and board members who would decide whether Emma's research program would continue. Dr. Patricia Williams, the research director, sat at the head of the table. She was a stern woman in her 60s who had spent her career making difficult decisions about funding. "Before we begin," Dr. Williams said, "I should mention that we have some unexpected visitors today." She gestured toward the back of the room, where Marcus sat in his wheelchair with oxygen tubes in his nose. Elon sat beside him, along with Dr. Martinez and Jennifer. "That's Elon Musk," whispered Dr. Robert Chun, one of the board members. "What's he doing here?" "I have no idea," Dr. Williams replied. "But let's focus on Ms. Chen's presentation." Emma stood at the front of the room, her laptop connected to a large screen. She had prepared for this moment for months, but now her hands were shaking. "Good afternoon," she began. "My name is Emma Chun, and I'm here to ask you to continue funding my pancreatic cancer research program." She clicked to her first slide, which showed statistics about pancreatic cancer survival rates. Pancreatic cancer is one of the deadliest forms of cancer. The 5-year survival rate is only 5%. Most patients die within 6 months of diagnosis. Emma looked back at Marcus, who smiled and nodded encouragingly despite his obvious pain. "Current treatments like chemotherapy and radiation don't work very well because pancreatic cancer cells are very good at hiding from the immune system." She clicked to her next slide, showing detailed molecular diagrams. "My research focuses on training the patient's own immune system to recognize and attack cancer cells more effectively. We call this immunotherapy." Dr. Williams interrupted. "Ms. Chun, immunotherapy isn't a new concept. Other researchers have tried this approach with limited success." Emma's confidence grew as she talked about her work. "You're right, Dr. Williams. But my approach is different. Instead of using artificial chemicals, I use the patient's own healthy cells to teach their immune system how to fight." She clicked to a slide showing her laboratory results. "In our mouse studies, we achieved a 73% response rate. That means almost 3 out of 4 mice with pancreatic cancer went into complete remission." The room went quiet. Several board members leaned forward to look at the data more closely. Dr. Robert Chun raised his hand. "Those are impressive results, Ms. Chun. But your sample size is very small. We would need much larger studies before we could consider this." Treatment for human patients. I understand your concern, Emma said. That's exactly why I need continued funding, to run larger studies and eventually move to human trials. Dr. Williams shuffled through her papers. The problem, Ms. Chun, is that your research requires very expensive equipment and materials. The university is facing budget cuts across all departments. We simply don't have unlimited resources. Emma felt her heart sinking. This was the same argument she had heard for months. The university cared more about money than about saving lives. Dr. Williams, with respect, we're not talking about unlimited resources. We're talking about saving human lives. People are dying. While we debate budgets, she clicked to a new slide that showed a photograph of Marcus in his hospital bed. This man has been like a father to me my entire life. He has pancreatic cancer, and the doctors say he has days left to live. How many more people have to die while we worry about the cost of research? The room fell silent. Several board members looked uncomfortable. Dr. Williams cleared her throat. Emma, we understand your personal connection to this research, but we can't make funding decisions based on emotion. Science requires peer-reviewed studies, larger sample sizes, and regulatory approval. How long would that take? Emma asked. Realistically, 3 to 5 years for preliminary human trials. Emma closed her laptop with trembling hands. Uncle, Marcus doesn't have 3 to 5 years. He doesn't have 3 to 5 weeks. Dr. Williams looked sympathetic but firm. I'm sorry, Ms. Chun. We appreciate your dedication, but we have to make practical decisions. The university cannot continue funding your program beyond this month. As the board members started packing up their papers, Elon stood up from the back of the room. Excuse me, he said, walking toward the front. I'm Elon Musk, and I'd like to make a proposal. The board members froze. Dr. Williams nearly dropped her coffee cup. Mr. Musk, what are you doing here? She stammered. I'm here to offer full funding for Emma's research program. Whatever equipment she needs, whatever staff she requires, whatever facilities would help her work. Money is not a concern. Emma stared at him in shock. You can't just buy a university research program. I'm not buying it, Elon said calmly. I'm investing in it. SpaceX has a life sciences division that studies how to keep astronauts healthy during long space flights. Cancer research is directly relevant to our mission. Dr. Williams found her voice. Mr. Musk, this is highly irregular. University research requires proper oversight and academic standards. Then let's provide proper oversight, Elon replied. I'll fund a new cancer research institute here at OHSU. Emma will be the director. We'll hire the best researchers in the world and build state-of-the-art facilities. The board members looked at each other in amazement. No one had ever offered to fund an entire research institute during a budget meeting. How much money are we talking about? Dr. Robert Chen asked. Whatever it takes. $10 million, $20 million, $50 million. The amount doesn't matter if we can save lives. Emma looked overwhelmed. I don't understand why you're doing this. Elon met her eyes across the room. In that moment, Emma saw something familiar in his expression. The same determination she saw in the mirror when she worked late nights in her laboratory. Because some fights are worth everything we have, Elon said. Marcus was crying quietly in his wheelchair. After 25 years of guilt and regret, he was finally seeing his two favorite people work together. Dr. Williams looked around the table at her fellow board members. Mr. Musk, we would need to discuss the details of such an arrangement. University partnerships require careful planning and legal review. Then let's start planning, Elon said. Emma, what do you need to begin larger studies immediately? For the first time in months, Emma smiled with real hope. Give me 6 months and a proper budget, and I'll have results that will change how we treat pancreatic cancer forever. You have both, Elon said. As the board members discussed the details of the new partnership, Marcus reached for Emma's hand. I'm proud of you, he whispered. Your mother would be proud too. Emma knelt down beside his wheelchair. We're going to save you, Uncle Marcus. This research is going to work. Maybe, Marcus said softly. But even if it doesn't save me, it will save thousands of other people. That's what matters. Emma looked at Elon, who was shaking hands with Dr. Williams and making plans for the new research institute. Is he really my father? She asked Marcus. Yes, and now you know where you get your stubborn determination from. Emma smiled through her tears. For the first time in her life, She understood why she had always felt driven to solve impossible problems. It was in her DNA. 3 days later, the third floor of Oregon Health and Science University looked like a construction zone. Workers in hard hats were tearing down walls and installing new equipment. The sound of power tools echoed through the hallways. Emma stood in what used to be 3 separate laboratories, watching crews build her dream research facility. Elon had kept his promise. Money was no object. The best equipment in the world was being delivered and installed. "The new cell culture room will be finished tomorrow," said Jake Morrison, the construction manager. "And the specialized microscopes arrive from Germany on Friday." Emma nodded, but her mind was elsewhere. Through the window, she could see St. Vincent Hospital across the street, where Marcus had been moved yesterday when his condition got worse. "Dr. Chun," Jake said, "did you hear what I said about the microscopes?" "Sorry," Emma said, shaking her head. "I was thinking about something else." The truth was, Emma couldn't concentrate on the construction while Marcus was dying across the street. For 3 days, she had split her time between setting up the new lab and sitting beside his hospital bed. The doctors at St. Vincent were amazed that Marcus was still alive. Most pancreatic cancer patients in his condition died within days. But Marcus seemed to be holding on through sheer willpower. "I want to see your research work," he had told Emma yesterday. "I want to know that the cure is possible before I die." Emma's phone buzzed with a text from Elon. "How's the lab setup going? Need anything else?" Since the university presentation, Elon had been incredible. He had hired the best cancer researchers from around the world. He had bought equipment that most universities could only dream of. He had given Emma everything she needed to succeed, but the pressure was enormous. The whole world was watching. Now, news reporters had written stories about Elon Musk's secret daughter and the billionaire's medical mission. Emma felt like she had to cure cancer just to live up to the headlines. Emma called Dr. Sarah Kim, one of the new researchers Elon had hired. "The cell samples from Marcus are ready for testing." Emma hurried to the temporary lab they had set up in the basement. Dr. Kim was a brilliant immunologist from Johns Hopkins University who had agreed to join Emma's team. "We extracted immune cells from Marcus's blood this morning," Dr. Kim explained. "Now we can test whether your treatment approach will work on his specific cancer." Emma looked at the microscope slides containing Marcus's cells. Somewhere in those, tiny samples might be the key to saving his life. "How long will the testing take?" Emma asked. 48 hours for preliminary results. Maybe 72 hours to be sure." Emma felt her stomach tighten. Marcus might not have 72 hours. Dr. Rodriguez had told her that his vital signs were getting worse every day. "Can we speed up the process?" "We can run multiple tests at the same time," Dr. Kim said. "But we still need time for the cells to respond to treatment." Emma's phone rang. It was Jennifer, the nurse taking care of Marcus. "Emma, you need to come to the hospital right away," Jennifer said urgently. "Marcus is asking for you and your father." "Is he okay?" "His breathing is getting shallow, and his blood pressure is dropping. Dr. Martinez thinks you should come now." Emma ran across the street to St. Vincent Hospital, her heart pounding. She found Elon already sitting beside Marcus's bed in the intensive care unit. Marcus looked terrible. His skin was gray, and his breathing was slow and labored. Machines beeped steadily around his bed, monitoring his failing body. "Uncle Marcus," Emma said, taking his hand. "I'm here." Marcus opened his eyes and smiled weakly. "How's the lab coming along?" "It's amazing. The equipment is better than anything I ever imagined. We're already testing your blood samples." "Good," Marcus whispered. "That's good." Dr. Martinez came into the room to check Marcus's vital signs. She was a kind woman who had been taking excellent care of him. "How much time does he have?" Elon asked quietly. "It's hard to say," Dr. Martinez replied. "His body is shutting down, but he's fighting harder than anyone I've ever seen. Some patients seem to hang on until they finish something important." Emma understood. Marcus was waiting to see if her research could work. He wanted to know that his death might help save other people. "Dr. Kim is running tests on your immune cells right now," Emma told Marcus. "We should have results in 2 days." "I'll wait," Marcus said, even though speaking was clearly difficult for him. Elon had been quiet, but now he moved his chair closer to Marcus's bed. "I need to ask you something," he said, "about Emma's childhood. What was she like growing up?" Marcus's eyes brightened a little. Even dying, he loved talking about Emma. She was brilliant from the very beginning, Marcus said slowly. When she was 5 years old, she asked me why people got sick. I tried to explain about germs and viruses, but she kept asking more questions. Emma smiled at the memory. I drove you crazy with all my questions. You drove me to the library. Marcus corrected. We spent every Saturday reading books about biology and medicine. By the time you were 10, you knew more about the human body than most college students. Elon listened carefully to every word. He had missed Emma's entire childhood, but Marcus was giving him glimpses of the amazing person she had become. She built her first microscope when she was 12, Marcus continued. It was made from old camera lenses and cardboard, but it actually worked. She used it to look at pond water and leaf cells. You taught me that science was about asking the right questions, Emma said. No, Marcus said firmly. You already knew that. I just helped you find the tools to get answers. For the next hour, Marcus told stories about Emma's childhood. Her first science fair project about plant growth. Her high school internship at the local hospital. Her college graduation, where she gave the valedictorian speech about using science to help people. Elon felt proud and sad at the same time. Proud because Emma had become exactly the kind of person he would want for a daughter. Sad because he had missed all of these important moments. She got her stubborn streak from you, Marcus told Elon. Even as a little girl, she never gave up on anything. If she couldn't solve a problem, she would work on it for hours until she figured it out. I remember staying up until midnight helping her with math homework, Emma said. Not because it was hard, but because I wanted to understand every single step. That's exactly how Elon was in college, Marcus said. He would argue with professors if he thought they were wrong. He always had to understand everything completely. Dr. Martinez came back to check on Marcus. His vital signs were getting weaker, but he was still alert and talking. Mr. Chun, you should try to rest, she said gently. I'll rest when I know Emma's research is going to work, Marcus replied. The next day, Emma worked 18 hours straight in her new laboratory. The construction crews had finished the main research room, and all the equipment was installed and running. Dr. Kim and her team tested different versions of Emma's treatment on Marcus's cancer cells. They tried various combinations of immune boosting, chemicals, and different methods of training the body's defenses. Look at this, Dr. Kim called excitedly around midnight. Test number 7 is showing incredible results. Emma looked through the microscope at Marcus's cancer cells. In the untreated sample, the cancer was spreading rapidly. But in the treated sample, the cancer cells were being destroyed by Marcus's own immune system. It's working, Emma whispered. It's actually working. She called Elon immediately, even though it was past midnight. We have preliminary results, she said when he answered. The treatment is destroying Marcus's cancer cells in the lab. Does that mean it will work in his body? We won't know for sure until we try it. But this is the best news we've had. What do we need to do next? We need to prepare the treatment and get approval to use it on Marcus. This is completely experimental, so it's risky. How risky? Emma paused. His immune system is very weak from the cancer. The treatment could make him sicker before it makes him better, or it might not work at all. What does Marcus want to do? I haven't told him about the results yet. I wanted to talk to you first. Elon thought for a moment. It's his choice, but I think we both know what he'll say. The next morning, Emma and Elon sat beside Marcus's bed and explained the test results. Marcus listened carefully, asking detailed questions about the treatment process and potential side effects. So this might cure my cancer, or it might kill me faster, Marcus summarized. That's right, Emma said honestly. We've never tried this treatment on a human before. We don't know what will happen. Marcus was quiet for several minutes, thinking about his options. Finally, he looked at Emma with determination in his eyes. I want to try it, he said. If it works, I get to live longer and see your research help other people. If it doesn't work, at least we'll learn something that might help the next patient. Dr. Martinez looked concerned. Mr. Chun, this is a very serious decision. The treatment could cause severe complications. I'm dying anyway, Marcus replied. At least this way, my death might teach us something useful. Emma squeezed his hand. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Within hours, Emma and her team were preparing the experimental treatment. They worked with Dr. Martinez and the hospital staff to make sure everything was as safe as possible. This is either going to be the most amazing medical breakthrough ever, Dr. Kim said. or the most expensive failure in research history. Emma watched the treatment being prepared in sterile containers. Everything her career had led to was concentrated in those small vials of medicine. "It's going to work," she said firmly. "It has to work." But as she looked at Marcus lying weak and pale in his hospital bed, Emma wondered if she was trying to cure cancer or just trying to avoid losing the only father she had ever known. Tomorrow, they would find out if 24 years of dreaming about curing cancer was enough to save the man who had raised her. 2 weeks later, Marcus Chin sat up in his hospital bed eating solid food for the first time in months. His cheeks had color again, and his eyes were bright and alert. The machines around his bed showed normal heart rhythm and blood pressure. "I can't believe it," Dr. Martinez said, looking at Marcus's latest test results. "Your cancer markers have dropped by 60%. The tumors are shrinking." Emma hugged her uncle carefully, tears of joy streaming down her face. "We did it, Uncle Marcus. We actually did it." "You did it," Marcus corrected her, his voice stronger than it had been in weeks. "You saved my life." Elon watched from the corner of the room, overwhelmed with pride. His daughter had accomplished something that could change medicine forever. In just 3 weeks, she had gone from losing her research funding to making a breakthrough that could save millions of lives. Dr. Sarah Kim rushed into the room with more test results. "Emma, you need to see this. Marcus's immune system is not just fighting the cancer. It's learning to recognize and destroy cancer cells more effectively than we ever imagined." Emma looked at the charts and graphs that Dr. Kim had brought. The numbers were better than anything she had dared to hope for. "His white blood cell count is almost normal," Emma said in amazement. "And look at these scans. The tumors in his liver have shrunk by 40%. Marcus smiled at the excitement on Emma's face. "So I'm going to live?" "It looks that way," Dr. Martinez said cautiously. "But we need to continue monitoring you closely. This treatment is still experimental." "How long before we know for sure?" Elon asked. "If Marcus continues improving at this rate, we'll know within a month whether the treatment has put his cancer into remission." Emma sat down beside Marcus's bed, still holding the test results. "Uncle Marcus, do you understand what this means? Your recovery proves that the treatment works. We can help other patients now." "How many other patients?" Marcus asked the doctor. Kim pulled out her phone and showed them a news article. "The FDA has already called about fast-tracking clinical trials. If the human trials go well, this treatment could be available to patients within 2 years instead of 10. Marcus reached for Emma's hand. 2 years. That means thousands of people who would have died might live instead. Maybe tens of thousands, Emma said. Pancreatic cancer kills over 45,000 Americans every year. If we can save even half of them. Elon felt his phone buzzing with messages. But he ignored them. Nothing was more important than this moment. His daughter had just proved that impossible problems could be solved with enough determination and the right resources. "Emma," Marcus said quietly, "I need to tell you something. When I first got sick, I was angry about dying. I felt like my life hadn't mattered much. I wasn't famous or rich or important. Uncle Marcus, you raised me. Of course your life mattered. But now I understand something different. My life mattered because it led to this moment. If I hadn't gotten sick, you might not have worked so hard on cancer research. If I hadn't called Elon, you two might never have met." Marcus looked at Elon with tears in his eyes. Sometimes the most important thing you can do is bring the right people together at the right time. Dr. Martinez came back into the room with a concerned expression. "I hate to interrupt, but we have reporters and camera crews downstairs asking about Marcus's treatment. Word has leaked out about the experimental therapy." Emma groaned. "I'm not ready to talk to reporters yet. We need more data before we make any public announcements. The hospital administrator wants to hold a press conference," Dr. Martinez continued. "This is huge news for OHSU and for cancer research in general." Elon stood up. "I'll handle the media. Emma, you focus on your research and taking care of Marcus." "What will you tell them?" Emma asked. "The truth. That my daughter is brilliant, that Marcus is recovering, and that this research could help millions of people." Elon's phone rang. It was Gwynn Shotwell from SpaceX. "Elon, I've been trying to reach you for days," Gwynn said when he answered. "The media is going crazy with stories about your secret daughter and this cancer research. NASA is asking questions about when we're going to reschedule the launch. Elon had almost forgotten about the delayed rocket launch. It seemed like a lifetime ago that he had canceled the mission to visit Marcus in Arizona. "What's the earliest we can launch?" Elon asked. "Next month, if everything goes perfectly." But the media attention around this cancer story is affecting our stock price and our reputation. Some investors are worried that you're not focused on SpaceX anymore. Elon looked at Marcus, who was sitting up in bed and looking healthier than he had in months. Then he looked at Emma, who was studying her research data with the same intense focus that Elon brought to rocket science. "Schedule the launch for next month," Elon decided, "and invite Marcus and Emma to watch it from the VIP area. Are you sure Marcus will be well enough to travel? At the rate he's improving, he'll probably be healthier than I am." After Elon hung up, Emma looked at him with curiosity. "You're rescheduling your rocket launch." "It's not just my rocket launch. It's our rocket launch. I want both of you there to see it." Marcus tried to sit up straighter in his bed. "I've never seen a rocket launch before." "Then it's time," Elon said. "But first, we need to make sure your treatment is working perfectly." Over the next few days, news about Marcus's recovery spread around the world. Medical journals called requesting research papers. Other hospitals asked about starting their own clinical trials. Pharmaceutical companies offered to invest billions of dollars in Emma's research, but Emma stayed focused on Marcus and her other research projects. She had started treating 2 more patients with advanced pancreatic cancer, using modified versions of the therapy that had saved Marcus. Patient number 2 is showing good response after 1 week, Dr. Kim reported during their daily team meeting. Patient number 3 just started treatment yesterday. Emma felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. The whole world was watching to see if her breakthrough was real or just a lucky accident. "We need to be very careful about our claims," she told her research team. "One successful case doesn't prove that the treatment works for everyone." But privately, Emma was more confident than she let on. The science was solid. The lab results were consistent. Marcus's recovery was dramatic and continuing 0.3 weeks after starting treatment. Marcus was strong enough to walk around the hospital floor. For weeks later, his latest scans showed that 80% of his tumors had disappeared. "This is unprecedented," Dr. Martinez told Emma. "I've been treating cancer patients for 20 years, and I've never seen anything like this." Emma's research team had grown to 15 people. Scientists from around the world wanted to join the project. The new Cancer Research Institute was expanding into 2 floors of the university building. But the most important moment came when Marcus was finally healthy enough to leave the hospital. "I'm going home," he told Emma on a sunny Thursday morning. "For the first time in 6 months, I'm going home." Emma helped him pack his few belongings from the hospital room. "Where do you want to go? Your apartment in Tucson?" "My place in Portland." "Actually," Marcus said with a smile, "I was thinking about Florida. I hear there's going to be a rocket launch next week." Emma laughed. "Are you sure you're feeling up to travel?" "Emma, 3 months ago I was dying. Now I'm cancer-free because of your brilliant research. I think I can handle a trip to watch your father launch a rocket." As they walked out of St. Vincent Hospital together, Emma thought about everything that had changed in the past month. She had discovered her real father, saved her uncle's life, and made a breakthrough that could help millions of people. But more than that, she had learned something important about family. Sometimes the people who matter most aren't related to you by blood. They're the people who choose to love you and support your dreams. Marcus had chosen to be her father for 24 years. Elon had chosen to help her research when she needed it most. And now, all 3 of them were choosing to be a family together, ready to go see a rocket launch. Emma asked Marcus as they got into the car. "I've been ready my whole life." Marcus replied. As they drove toward the airport, Emma's phone buzzed with a text message from the FDA. "Clinical trials approved. When can you start treating more patients?" Emma smiled and typed back, "As soon as we get back from Florida." The breakthrough was real. The treatment worked. And now they could start saving lives on a much larger scale. But first, they were going to watch Elon Musk launch a rocket into space. Because some celebrations are worth everything you have, Kennedy Space Center buzzed with excitement as the sun rose over the Florida coast. The Falcon Heavy rocket stood tall and white on Launch Pad 39A, the same pad that had sent Apollo missions to the moon 50 years earlier. Marcus sat in a wheelchair in the VIP viewing area, wearing a new SpaceX baseball cap that Emma had bought him in the gift shop. He looked thin but healthy, with bright eyes and a smile that hadn't left his face since they arrived in Florida. "I can't believe I'm actually here," Marcus said, looking at the rocket in the distance. "3 months ago, I thought I would die, without ever seeing something like this." Emma stood beside him, wearing her lucky SpaceX t-shirt, the same one from the photo Marcus had shown Elon in the hospital. She was recording everything on her phone, wanting to capture this moment forever. "How are you feeling, Uncle Marcus?" she asked. "Like I'm about to watch something impossible become possible," Marcus replied. "Just like when we were building Zip 2 and dreaming about changing the world." It had been exactly 2 months since Elon first received Marcus's phone call in SpaceX. Mission Control. 2 months since he had made the shocking decision to cancel a rocket launch to visit a dying friend. Now, that same rocket was finally ready to launch. But everything else had changed completely. Elon walked over from the Mission Control building, wearing a clean SpaceX polo shirt and looking more relaxed than he had in years. The launch preparations were going perfectly, but for once, the rocket wasn't the most important thing on his mind. T-minus 30 minutes and counting, announced the launch director's voice over the loudspeakers. "How are you feeling?" Emma asked her father. "Nervous," Elon admitted, "but not about the rocket. I keep thinking about how different everything was 2 months ago." Marcus looked up at him. "Do you regret canceling the first launch?" "Not for a second," Elon said immediately. "That canceled launch led to meeting Emma and saving your life. Some things are more important than staying on schedule." Emma looked between the two men who had shaped her life in such different ways. "Will you tell me about those college days again? What were you both like when you were my age?" Elon and Marcus exchanged glances. Then Marcus started laughing, a sound that Emma had feared she would never hear again. "Your father was the most stubborn person I'd ever met," Marcus said. "He would argue with physics professors about space travel. He would stay up all night reading engineering books for fun. And he was absolutely convinced that we could build a company that would make millions of dollars. And Marcus was the most talented programmer I'd ever seen," Elon added. "He could solve problems that stumped graduate students from MIT. But he was also the most modest person. He never wanted credit for his work." Emma smiled. "So you were a good team." "We were the best team," Marcus said quietly, "until I let jealousy destroy everything we had built." T-minus 15 minutes and counting came the announcement. The crowd around them grew quiet as everyone focused on the rocket. Emma reached for both men's hands, Marcus's thin fingers on one side, Elon's strong hand on the other. "Uncle Marcus," she said, "I need to tell you something. You taught me that intelligence without kindness is worthless. You showed me how to ask the right questions and never give up looking for answers. You've been the best father I could have asked for." Marcus started crying, but these were tears of joy, not sadness. Emma turned to Elon. "And Dad, it still feels strange calling you that, but I want to try. Thank you for showing me that impossible dreams can come true if you're willing to work hard enough. Your rockets inspired me to become a scientist." T-minus 10 minutes and counting. Elon put his arm around Emma's shoulders. "I'm proud of you both. Marcus, you raised an incredible daughter. Emma, you saved the life of someone I care about. This launch is dedicated to both of you." T-minus 5 minutes and counting. As the final countdown began, Marcus thought about the strange path that had led to this moment. 6 months ago, he was a lonely man dying of cancer with terrible secrets weighing on his conscience. Now he was cancer-free, surrounded by family, watching one of the most powerful rockets in the world prepare to blast off into space. T-minus 1 minute and counting. Emma squeezed both men's hands tighter. Around them, hundreds of people watched in silence as the most exciting 60 seconds of the countdown began. Main engine start. The Falcon Heavy's 27 engines ignited in a controlled explosion of orange flame and white smoke. Even from 3 miles away, the sound was incredible, a deep rumble that Emma could feel in her chest. Liftoff. We have liftoff of Falcon Heavy. The massive rocket lifted slowly off the launch pad, then accelerated rapidly toward the blue Florida sky. Emma cheered and jumped up and down. Marcus clapped weakly but enthusiastically. Elon watched his rocket disappear into the clouds, but he was looking at his daughter and his old friend. "Look at that," Marcus said in wonder as the rocket became a bright dot against the sky. "Humans building machines that can travel to other worlds." Just like we dreamed about in college, Elon said. Except now it's real. As the crowd started to disperse, Marcus turned to Elon with a serious expression. I have something for you. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out the old Zip 2 notebook from the hospital, the same notebook that had started this whole journey. This belongs to you, Marcus said. It always did. I want you to have it back. Elon took the notebook, carefully, running his fingers over the coffee-stained cover. Inside were pages of code and business plans that two young men had written 25 years ago, dreaming of changing the world. We should donate this to a computer history museum, Elon said. Let people see how two college students with big dreams and no money started the internet revolution. Together? Marcus asked. Together, Elon confirmed. Emma looked at the notebook, then at the contrail from the rocket still visible in the sky. Can I make a suggestion? Let's start a new notebook. For the Cancer Research Institute. We can fill it with ideas for saving lives instead of making money. Marcus and Elon looked at each other and smiled. That sounds perfect, they said at the same time. As they walked back toward the parking area, Emma thought about everything that had happened since that first phone call 2 months ago. Marcus had been dying, keeping terrible secrets that had poisoned his relationship with Elon for 25 years. Now Marcus was healthy. Elon had a daughter he never knew existed, and Emma had unlimited resources to continue her life-saving research. But more than that, 3 people who had been separated by lies, jealousy, and missed opportunities had found their way back to each other. So what happens now? Emma asked as they reached Elon's car. Now we go back to work, Elon said. You continue your cancer research. I build more rockets. Marcus gets to watch both of us change the world. And this time, Marcus added, we do it as a family. Emma looked at the 2 men who had given her different but equally important gifts. Marcus had given her 24 years of love, guidance, and support. Elon had given her the resources and inspiration to solve problems that seemed impossible. Together, they had given her something even more valuable. The understanding that family isn't just about blood relationships. It's about people who choose to love and support each other, even when things get complicated. I have an idea, Emma said. What if we name the new Cancer Research Institute after Mom? The Sarah Martinez Center for Cancer Research. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. She would have loved that. She would have been proud of both of you. Elon added. As they drove away from Kennedy Space Center, Emma's phone buzzed with messages from cancer patients around the world who wanted to try her experimental treatment. The FDA had approved expanded clinical trials, and hospitals were calling every day asking for help. How many patients do you think you can help this year? Marcus asked. Maybe 50 in the clinical trials, Emma said. But if the treatment keeps working, we could help thousands of people within 5 years. Thousands of families who won't have to go through what we went through, Marcus said quietly. Emma smiled. Uncle Marcus, we didn't just go through something difficult. We went through something that made us stronger and brought us together. The most important launch hadn't been the one that went to space. It had been the launch of a new chapter in 3 lives that had been waiting 25 years to begin. Marcus made a full recovery over the following months. Emma's cancer treatment became the new standard of care for pancreatic cancer patients worldwide. And Elon finally understood that some missions were more important than getting to Mars. But the best part was that they got to do it all together, as a family that had chosen to forgive, heal, and build something beautiful from the pieces of their broken past. The rocket had reached space perfectly, delivering its payload to the International Space Station. But the real success was happening right here on Earth, in the car driving away from the launch pad, where 3 people who had lost each other had finally found their way home. 6 months later, Imogen stood at the podium of the largest medical conference in the world. Behind her, a massive screen showed the results that had changed everything. Pancreatic cancer immunotherapy, 89% response rate in clinical trials. The audience of 3,000 doctors and researchers sat in complete silence as Emma presented her findings. These were the smartest medical minds on Earth, and they were stunned by what they were hearing. In our expanded clinical trials, we treated 127 patients with advanced pancreatic cancer, Emma explained. 113 patients showed significant tumor reduction. 89 patients went into complete remission. Dr. Patricia Williams, who was now Emma's research partner at OHSU, stood in the wings watching with pride. The woman who had almost canceled Emma's funding was now her biggest supporter. These results represent the biggest breakthrough in cancer treatment in 50 years, Emma continued. But this research was only possible because of three very important people. Emma clicked to a new slide showing a photo of herself, Marcus, and Elon at the rocket launch 6 months earlier. Marcus looked healthy and happy, wearing his SpaceX cap and smiling at the camera. "This man is Marcus Chun," Emma said, pointing to the photo. "He raised me after my mother died. When he was diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer, he became the first person to receive this experimental treatment." The audience murmured with interest. Everyone knew that Emma's research had started with a personal mission to save someone she loved. Marcus is not just alive today, he is completely cancer-free. His latest scans show no trace of disease anywhere in his body. Emma paused as the audience broke into spontaneous applause. In the VIP section, Marcus wiped tears from his eyes and waved at the crowd. "But Marcus taught me something more important than science," Emma continued. "He taught me that the most important discoveries happen when people choose to love and support each other, even when it's difficult." She clicked to the next slide, showing the old Zip2 notebook that had started this entire journey. This notebook contains the original computer code for a company called Zip2, written 25 years ago by two college students who dreamed of changing the world. One of those students was Marcus. The other was my father, Elon Musk. Now the audience was completely silent, hanging on every word. For 25 years, Marcus carried a terrible secret. He had lied about my father during a business deal, destroying their friendship and keeping me from knowing who my real father was. Emma's voice grew stronger as she told the story that had changed 3 lives. When Marcus was dying, he called my father to confess the truth, not because he wanted forgiveness, but because he wanted to make sure I had the resources to continue my cancer research after he was gone. The audience was riveted. This wasn't just a medical presentation. It was a story about family, forgiveness, and the power of choosing love over anger. "My father made a choice that day," Emma said, looking directly at Elon in the VIP section. "He canceled a $100 million rocket launch to visit a man who had betrayed him 25 years earlier. He chose healing over hurt. He chose family over business." Elon felt his throat tighten with emotion. 6 months ago, he had thought that canceled launch was a costly mistake. Now he understood it was the best decision he had ever made. The treatment that saved Marcus's life and is now helping hundreds of other patients exists because 3 broken people chose to become a family, Emma continued. Because a dying man chose to tell the truth. Because a father chose to forgive. And because all of us chose to believe that some fights are worth everything we have. Emma clicked to her final slide, showing recent photos of Marcus volunteering at the Children's Hospital in Portland, helping young cancer patients and their families. Marcus Chun is not just a cancer survivor. He is proof that our lives can have meaning and purpose, even when we make terrible mistakes. His courage to tell the truth saved our family and led to this medical breakthrough. The audience rose to their feet in a standing ovation that lasted 5 minutes. Emma had not just presented groundbreaking medical research. She had shown them that science and humanity were inseparable. After the presentation, Emma was surrounded by reporters and fellow researchers asking questions about the treatment and her remarkable family story. Dr. Chun asked a reporter from CNN, "What would you say to other families dealing with cancer?" "I would say that hope is always possible, even in the darkest moments," Emma replied, "and that the people who love us can give us strength we never knew we had." "What's next for your research?" asked a scientist from Johns Hopkins. "We're expanding to treat other types of cancer. Lung cancer, breast cancer, brain tumors. The same principles that saved Marcus could help millions of people." That evening, Emma, Marcus, and Elon sat together on the hotel balcony overlooking the ocean. The medical conference was over, but their work was just beginning. "I'm proud of you," Marcus told Emma. "That presentation was perfect. You told the truth about everything. The science, the family drama, all of it." "I learned from the best," Emma replied, squeezing his hand. "You taught me that honesty is always better than secrets, even when it's scary." Elon's phone buzzed with a message from NASA about the next SpaceX mission. But instead of checking it immediately, he set the phone aside and focused on his family. "You Know what's funny? Elon said, 6 months ago, I thought the most important thing I could do was get humans to Mars. Now I realize the most important thing is what we're doing right here on Earth. Why can't you do both? Emma asked with a smile. Maybe someday we'll need to treat cancer on Mars too. Marcus laughed. Your father's stubbornness and your scientific mind. That's a dangerous combination. Good dangerous or bad dangerous? Emma asked. The kind of dangerous that changes the world, Marcus replied. Over the following months, Emma's cancer treatment was approved for use in hospitals worldwide. The Sarah Martinez Center for Cancer Research became the leading institution for immunotherapy development, attracting the best scientists from every continent. Marcus became the public face of pancreatic cancer survival, traveling to medical conferences and talking to patients about hope and healing. His story inspired thousands of families facing similar battles. Elon continued building rockets and electric cars, but he also became the biggest supporter of medical research in the world. SpaceX missions now carried medical equipment to the International Space Station, where astronauts conducted experiments that could lead to new treatments. But the most important change was in their relationship with each other. They had family dinners every Sunday when Elon was in town. They celebrated holidays together. They supported each other through good times and bad. Emma often thought about the phone call that had started everything. If Marcus hadn't gathered the courage to call Elon that morning 6 months ago, everything would have been different. Marcus would have died with his secrets. Emma would never have known her father. Millions of cancer patients would still be waiting for effective treatment. One decision to tell the truth had changed everything. That on the first anniversary of Marcus's recovery, the three of them returned to St. Mary's Hospital in Tucson, where their journey had begun. They visited the oncology ward and met with patients who were just starting their own battles with cancer. The treatment that saved my life is available here now, Marcus told a young mother who had just been diagnosed. There's real hope. Dr. Rodriguez, who had cared for Marcus during his darkest days, could hardly believe the transformation. I've been a doctor for 30 years, she told Emma, and I've never seen anything like Marcus's recovery. You didn't just save his life. You gave him a completely new life. As they walked through the hospital corridors where Marcus had almost died, Emma reflected on everything they had learned. The most important lesson wasn't about cancer or immunotherapy or medical research. It was about the power of choosing forgiveness over anger, truth over lies, and love over fear. Marcus had made terrible mistakes 25 years ago, but those mistakes had led to something beautiful. Elon had every reason to stay angry, but he chose healing instead. Emma could have focused on the father she had missed, but she chose to appreciate the father who had raised her. They had learned that families aren't just created by blood or marriage. Sometimes the strongest families are formed by people who choose to forgive each other's mistakes and build something new together. So what's the real secret? Emma asked as they stood outside the hospital where everything had changed. What's the most important thing we learned? Marcus and Elon looked at each other, then at Emma. The secret, Marcus said, is that it's never too late to tell the truth. And, Elon added, some things are more important than rockets. Emma smiled and put her arms around both men. The secret is that love is stronger than anything that tries to divide us. As they walked away from the hospital together, Emma knew that their story was really just beginning. There were more patients to help, more families to heal, more impossible problems to solve. But now they would face those challenges together, as a family that had been broken and rebuilt stronger than before. The truth had set them free. The truth had saved Marcus's life. The truth had brought them home to each other, and the truth was that some fights really are worth everything you have. And that was the end of this incredible story about Elon Musk, Marcus Chun, and Emma, a tale of forgiveness, family, and the power of choosing love over anger. That we'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment below and tell us which country or city you're tuning in from. It's amazing to connect with viewers from all around the world. If this story touched your heart, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring and emotional stories like this one. We share tales that remind us of the good in humanity and the importance of family, forgiveness, and never giving up on the people we love. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family too. Stories like these deserve to be spread far and wide because they help us remember that kindness, truth, and second chances can change everything. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next story.